Hey guys, it's Carter from Lumbridge Lounge here with another guide. Today I wanted to go through my bank and just show you guys how I organize all my things and show you guys a couple useful plugins that I use every single time I play. I'm making this guide for people who specifically don't have a very organized bank and wish to have one that just is way easier to look at and easier to find things without having to search for every single item. So without further ado, let's get into it, and I'll just show you from tab to tab what I do. So if we click on my bank here, you'll see I have mostly all my tabs filled. And let's start with the first tab. So this tab here, I don't really have it very organized, honestly. I just, of course, keep my money here. I keep my max cape here. I keep 1 or 2 pets at a time usually that I like to bring out with me. The rest go into my my house. And then for some reason I've kept like all of my different currency up here, and I don't really know where else to put it, so I just leave it up here. I keep my totems and some keys and things like that. I like to keep my stack of food here as well, and I also put my clue scrolls right here in this first tab. And let me get rid of these monkey nuts. There's really not much to say here for this first tab, except just I would say put things that you use a lot here that you don't really have room for anywhere else, just like how I have all this stuff here. I did used to have a food tab, but I just got rid of all the other food. I just didn't think it was worth it. And any other food that I collected, I put in my loot tab, which I will explain at the very end, which is a very fun tab to have, in my opinion. I definitely suggest you guys have your own loot tabs, but we'll definitely get into that when the time comes. But really getting into it, let's start with the first tab here. This is all of my main weapons and armor in my bank. And I organize this in rows. So as you can see, these first 2 rows are mainly my melee, which I have some other melee weapons underneath it. And the next one is my mage gear, which I have, not that much mage gear. I put my void gear here as well. And then after that, I have my range gear with some different glove slots, rings, shields, different range weapons. And you'll notice I have some things missing, and I like to just keep the placeholder there so that if I end up buying one later or getting it later, it has a spot for it, and it just makes it organized with more placeholders. I just have more things to have to organize my stuff. And then at the bottom I have just some niche things, some Guthins, my Serp Helm, my Salve Amulet, just things that I don't really want to put up there at the bottom, and just don't really have a place for it. But what I like about this setup is if I want my melee gear, I can just click up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then I have all of my gear right there for my setup. Except I am wearing Trailblazer boots. There we go. In my second tab, I usually keep my ammunition and just other like pieces of gear that I don't use a lot, but sometimes I need it, like my Vire Noble clothing I put here. I have some Black D-hide here for wilderness stuff, some books. I have all my achievement diary gear here and my cannon with the cannonballs. I have just different weird like pieces of gear, the Bracelet of Slaughter, Expeditious bracelets, and some things I don't ever use unless it's a clue item, which also I have on Gear 4, like my Fighter Torso. I don't use that anymore except for clue scrolls, but on my tab 2, I just have it as like a secondary tab to my tab 1. I just don't want it to be so cluttered into one tab. So as you can see here, I just have like daggers and Amulet of Strength for wilderness content and just weird niche things. And you can put that separate from your main gear, which is what I would recommend, just so that it doesn't look so cluttered and you don't have to scroll down and just see all these different items. I would definitely recommend separating. And after that, we get into my teleports tab. And here you can see on the left, I have some tablets here. On the right, you get some quest items that teleport you. I got my construction cape, my crafting cape there, other quest items and amulets. I got some scrolls and things like that. I just like to put it in a separate tab so that if I need to find something real quick, I can just click here and I can find my, Falador teleporter tab right there. So after this tab, on to the next one. I don't really know how to explain it other than it's just my tools. And I don't click on this tab very often when I need to find something that's in here. I normally search for it just because it's very random. But it's just all of my tool stuff, like my gem bags, coal bags, rods, hammer, nail saw, molds, all that kind of stuff. And this is honestly probably the tab that when you make something like this, it really declutters the rest of your bank. It makes it look a lot nicer. And so I would suggest putting a lot of like your tools, like your magic secateurs and your Hallowed Sepulchre gear, all that kind of stuff. Just put it into a single tab and call it your tool tab. It's just your tool tab. That's all it is. And the big difference between this tab and my secondary combat tab is just, of course, this is all combat related and this is all tool related. And if you separate those two things, it really makes your bank look a lot nicer in the long run. And of course, I could make this look a lot more organized. It's just I don't look at it very often. And the same goes for here. I could move things around, put my boots and gloves at certain spots and this gear, move it around. But once again, I don't really look at this very often. Then after that is my 5th tab, which is my magic tab. I keep all of my runes here. You can organize your runes specifically in a specific order if you want to. I just don't really care. I just like that it's off to one side. And then on the other side, I got all my staves. I got my blood essence here, my rune pouch, and I got some rune essence with these tiaras, some mage capes, just some other niche mage related gear as well. I just like how it looks. And I can quickly go to this tab and find the runes I need, switch my rune pouch out, and I'm good to go. After this one, my next tab is kind of weird, but it's really just my outfits here. I got some capes up here, like my music cape. I'll definitely use that when I do my clue scrolls. My magic cape I use when I need to change my spellbook. And this is all kind of before I maxed, so I just use my max cape now, but before, I would use these capes a lot as teleports or tools. I had my runecrafting outfit, fishing. I used to have my lumberjack and other stuff here, but I moved it around. I have my graceful. I have some fashion scape, some other hoodies. What am I even saying? Some hoods. Some other tools here, like my axe and pickaxe and ring. So it's not that necessary. You could find other places for this, like your tool tab, but I kind of like having a separate tab as well, just for things where specific activities that I want to do outside of combat and things like that. I made it here. And the next tab I would say is very important to have. You should have a potion tab. And the way to make this look fun and nice is to try to make sure you have a dose slot for every potion. So as you can see here, I have a 4-dose slot, 3-dose, 2-dose, and 1-dose for my prayer potions. And the same goes for every other potion I have. So for my Ceradomin Brews, I have 4, 3, 2, 1, Super Restores 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on and so forth. And this one can be kind of hard to build from scratch because you're going to have such an unorganized tab when you just drag all your potions here. But I suggest sipping some, it's going to waste some money of you sipping some potions and getting it down, but it's so worth it in the long run to have a slot for each sip. Otherwise, you're just going to have a really unorganized set of potions in your bank, and it's just going to look like a mess. And plus, it's nice to just take, one stamina potion sip. You don't need to take a full potion sometimes. It's nice to just take this and drink it, and then it's gone. You don't have to re-bank it back in your bank. And finally, my last tab is my loot tab. And what's really fun about this is you can look at the top. If you have that certain plugin, like Bank Value or something, you can see the value of your tab specifically when you click on it. So this loot tab of mine, I have 4.6 mil worth of loot that I've gained from various activities. And whenever I want to, I can take it all out and sell it, and I pretty much know how much money I'm going to make from that. And it's just fun to look through it as you go on throughout the days and be like, oh wow, I got 20 mil that I got in my loot tab that I got just sitting there, and I can get the GP from it whenever I want. And it's just a lot of fun, and it makes it kind of easier for you to realize how much money you're really making in the game. And the way to do this is to just drag everything that you don't care about into this tab. And so it gets to a point where, you still care about herbs in the game if you want to make potions, but you could put them in here still and organize it with other things like rune items and seeds and ores and gems and stabs and just everything. And I promise you in the long run it's worth it. I kind of organize it up here at the top, and then it gets way less organized at the bottom as I add more stuff. So sooner or later I'm going to go through here and organize it again, because it's really fun to just look at it and be like, oh wow, I got all my rune stuff here, dragon stuff. And it just really is a good time to see it grow up in price, and just as you fill up that loot tab, it's nice. And this is definitely my favorite tab in my bank, and it kind of makes playing RuneScape more enjoyable for some reason, because I just look at this tab, I go, I got 4.6 mil, let's try to get to 7 or 8 mil, what should I do? Let's go do some Phantom Muspa, and then I can add, this Ancient Essence stack here and see my loot tab go up, and then decide to sell everything, and then make a good amount of GP to add to my cash stack right here. So I definitely suggest adding a loot tab to your bank, and once again, just dragging everything that you consider loot into that tab, and then you can organize it if you want, but if you don't want to, that's totally fine as well. And while we're here, I want to show you one of the plugins that is really helpful specifically with this loot tab. And so go to your configurations and get the bank heat map plugin. And you might have to go to the plugin hub to get that, but once you get it, you can right click here on this setting, and you can go to toggle high alk heat map or toggle GE heat map. And you want to toggle this GE heat map to show the prices on the Grand Exchange for each of these items. When you click on that, it's going to show you in these items different colors, and you can easily find where your most valuable items are. So I can look right here and go, oh, this is pretty expensive. This is 676k. This one's 280k, but these blue ones, the lower it gets, the more blue, the blue color it gets. And so all these blue ones are really low in value, but then, oh, these dragon darts are 417k. So I could quickly just, take out all these expensive ones, just scroll through and take out most of my bank value that way. So I really like the bank heat maps when I want to sell my loot tab. However, my two favorite RuneLite plugins for banks is inventory setups, and also it's called bank tag layouts. So let me get into that real quick. It's so nice. So this is a process that takes a while to update on your own time, but I definitely recommend you do it every time you gear up for an activity, is to save that gear setup as an inventory setup. So what you want to do is go to your sidebar here on inventory setups, click it, and as you can see here, I already have so many different inventory setups saved as I've played the game on RuneLite with this plugin. And if you go to any of these, let's go, for example, Theater of Blood, I have the Theater of Blood freezer roll. I can view this setup, and it just has everything that I need to gear up for Theater of Blood. So I can just quickly click on all these things, hold shift and put them on. Let's put that away. Grab all the rest of these items here. Oh, that's I'm on all. And just like that, I am ready for Tob within seconds. So let's pretend I'm going to set up for a boss. Whatever boss it may be, I'll just call it boss in the setup. So I'm going to put on this melee gear, for example. Let's take some food. I'll grab 10 sharks, 10 potatoes and cheese for some reason, 5 house teleports, my rune pouch, and a couple strength potions. And so there's my setup. I have my melee gear on and my inventory right here. What you want to do is go to the top here and click the plus sign, add. I'm just going to call it boss. Boom, there it is. I'm going to go all the way down and find it. It's usually at the bottom. I highly suggest you enable the bank filtering here. And then whenever you enter your bank and you want to re-gear for that specific inventory, let's just put everything away. And I'll show you. It's going to be saved there. So when I go here on the bank, it's going to be normal how my bank normally looks. But if I click this little eyeball here, as long as this bank filtering is on, I click on this, and there's my setup on the right, and it actually aligns everything on my bank for me, how I wore it. So I can go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and have everything here. I'm going to put it all on. There it is. And then it has everything in order here as well. So I'm going to grab 10 sharks, 5 potatoes, or was it 10? Yeah, 10, my 5 house teleports, my rune pouch, and then 1. I put 2 super combat potions there because I put 2 in my inventory. So you just have to click it once. You don't need to like right click and do X or click it twice. It's just kind of nice to go up and down like that. And it even gives you your runes right here if you need to add more runes to your rune pouch later on. A big disclaimer though, you definitely need to have bank tag layouts on for this to work very good. For example, on my inventory setups, if I want to do Venenatus, it has it all like this. But if I don't have bank tag layouts on, it's going to divide everything based on the tabs they're located in. So definitely turn on bank tag layouts, and it'll put it all in order of how you wore it, or you can reorganize how you want it, and then you're ready to go way faster than before in any activity you want to do in the game. And another tip is if you go to a specific inventory setup you've made, for example, I'll go to my Fashionscape one, just so I can easily put on whatever Fashionscape I like at the time. If you go to the right side, you can change things without having to wear them and then remake a new inventory. You can right click any of these inventory slots, and you can even search for any item. I can put Infernal Cape. There we go, Max Infernal Cape right there. And then there it is. Or I can remove it, and I can put a slot in my inventory, like 1 coin. And now that I have 1 coin here and it matches the top left, I can right click and I can update slot from inventory, and boom, there's a coin right there. And just putting this out there, these are all the bank affiliated plugins that I have. I don't know if there's any others that have different names, but if I missed anything, check out these plugins here on the right, and you'll probably find something you're looking for if it's not working on your end. And if you're curious about this like snow that's going crazy right now, it's called 3D weather. Because I'm sure some of you guys are going to be like, what the hell is that? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys learned a thing or two about how you can organize your bank a little bit better. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.